Well, good morning. Still morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the second budget meeting of 2016, and ask for approval of the minutes from the February 29th. Moved by Supervisor Simpson, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. The first item up is on the back of your agenda, or the second sheet, is the update of the 2015 multi-year plan. If you look at the bottom at the 2015 actual, the estimated general fund surplus of $21,988,958. I would like to, first of all, some of that is, or a lot of that is Westmount, the sale of Westmount, and the ongoing receivables that'll be hopefully coming to the county. But a lot of that too, I think our department heads need to be congratulated. I think, you know, we set their budgets, and they don't just spend all the whole budget. They spend what they need to spend, and what's left over they leave there. So a big kudos to all the department heads, because they deserve it. With that, kind of leads into the second topic of the of a Westmount reserve. The treasurer has suggested that we set aside $4.5 million as a reserve for to pay retiree health insurance and whatever other legacy costs may exist with Westmount. Well, I'll tell you my opinion of that. At first, I was kind of like, well, you know, I don't know why we should set aside $4.5 million and take us out 20 years. I don't see no funds sitting around here where previous boards have set aside any money for us. But after realizing that a lot of this money is receivables, and it's just on paper. We haven't received all this money. There's probably $500,000 in private pay that we may, our success with receiving private pay is not so good, so we may never see that money. The IGT money, I think at some point we'll receive that, and there's Medicaid and Medicare money for ongoing services that we'll receive at some point. Currently, I think the treasurer said there's $648,000, I think, received. So, with all that being said, I guess setting aside the $4.5 million to me is a good idea, actually.
I just would like to say that, Frank, you hit the nail on the head. There's, on the books, there's $4.5 million there. The reality is we're not going to see all that money, because some of this is part of the universal settlement. We may not see all of that. There's IGT money. I'm not sure how all of that's come. The private pay stuff, you know, we do have somebody out there trying to collect that, but some of those bills go back 6-7 years that we haven't collected on. So, you know, we may not see all of that money. And right now, like you said, we haven't even got $750,000 of that cash on hand yet.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Ron.
I would bring to the floor a motion that we set aside up to, that way we might receive a little less, but up to $4.477509 million of Westmount related closeout dollars, which would include the IGT, which would include the universal, which would include the items that have been discussed, and that those dollars be maintained in a legacy account. And I would make that as a motion. I think that's a wise thing to do at this stage, because I think, like you say, we're going to be getting these at different points in time, but we're going to be incurring costs even now.
I mean, roughly, I think, the actuary shows about right around 300, maybe 20 a year, will be our, what we'll be responsible for the next 20 years. So, you know, as it comes in, hopefully there's enough coming in to take care of what has to go out for a year.
Okay, so we have a motion by Supervisor Conover to set up, basically a reserve of Westmount dollars, up to 4.5 million. Seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Discussion.
Just, the operations of a reserve, some of that's based on paying the medical of retired people, et cetera?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the legacy costs.
And not being morbid or whatever, but if a litany of them passed away, we wouldn't have to pay that.
Yes.
My point is, we set aside this money and then we don't need all that. My understanding of reserves are they're kind of designated funds. How do you get that back if there's no need after 5, 7, whatever years? You see a reduction, how do you get it back to where you could use it?
It can be set up in a way, I mean, it can be set up in a capital fund, so that at some point in time, if there's no more drawdown on it, I mean, it's just
All right,
like a
if I ask
highway
that.
capital fund.
Sure.
You know, you get to the end, and you've got a surplus in there, then you can move that by board resolution.
Okay,
To another.
it can be moved, but.
Well, let's settle the, resolution first.
Okay.
Yes, Matt?
Actually, a question relating to this and then another question that maybe. But in our estimate, earlier this year, we talked about what we thought our fund balance should be, you know, for cash flow purposes. And in the projections in 2019, we're down below, you know, the 10 million. Wasn't it 10, 12 million?
Well, the resolution actually came in 9 million.
9
million?
16.
So, okay. And the other question I had, maybe for the supervisors that were here in 2012, there was a big jump in revenue between 11 and 12, about 16 million. Any idea what, because it was 150 million, 329, and in 2019, we're still only projecting 147 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we
In 1 year, we saw a swing of...
we jumped up the sales tax revenue 1 year,
Well, what happened was you projected a flat, remember, for a couple
but then we
of years.
dropped it back and said we're not gonna show any increase in sales tax, and then it took a big hit, it went up.
2009 and 10, we were coming through the recession, and there was, I believe there was zero projection.
Because it was it 08 or 09, I can't remember which year.
1 year we jumped it up 500,000, and we subsequently made it flat for several years, and then it recovered.
That's what built up the surplus.
That was a rookie mistake by my part, listening to somebody who's no longer with us.
I'm glad you said that.
Well, I'm being honest.
Glad you are.
Thank you.
Wasn't me.
Look around, what?
In case you think the finance chairman,
Oh, it was an elected official. It wasn't an administrative official. I can tell you that. I listened to an elected official, and I made a rookie mistake.
Okay, any other discussion on the proposed resolution? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Now, can I ask a
Carried.
question?
Yes, you can.
Mike, why do we have to show 4 million every year as a negative? Is this just a paper thing, or are you actually gonna carry over a couple suitcases full of money and put them into account?
Yes, on both accounts. It is paper money for a while, until such point as we start seeing the money coming in.
But I just don't,
By putting it as showing it in parentheses as a negative,
every year.
basically what's being said here, Joanne, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's saying, okay, we're taking that out every year. So that's why you're coming from 21 million down to 17 million, and then down to 15 and 12.
Yeah, but
Basically saying that it's not gonna be
aren't you gonna take that money and put it in a coffee can next year, and you're gonna set it here? So you're gonna have $4.4 million in a coffee can, right? You're already gonna have it in
But
the,
it's gonna be designated based on the resolution you just passed. It's
but
gonna
you're gonna leave it in a coffee can, so you're not gonna have to, gonna generate more coffee cans the following year, are you?
But it'll be encumbered, so it's not gonna be shown as part of surplus, because you're.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yes, Joanne.
I think what the confusion is it's showing every year on here because it's calculating, reducing that from the fund balance every year. Because it's not included in the fund balance numbers where it says net resulting on reserve fund balance. It's not included in any of those numbers all the way across. So you have to deduct it every year. It's only gonna be 4.4 at the end. It's not gonna, accumulate. But to make the numbers work on the bottom line, it's
Well,
showing.
we've gotta
on here
show
way.
that someplace, okay, so now it's gonna be encumbered based on, I'm assuming we go to finance and then.
It's as clear as mud to me, but okay.
Supervisor Conover.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure I assumed we're showing the 477 because we haven't worked in from it what we're paying each year. So if it's up, if we're gonna put aside 4477509, the amount that we pay out each year is gonna be drawn against that.
Right.
So in effect, what you're going to do is you're going to, I'm assuming you're gonna appropriate out of that reserve within the budget for your anticipated expenditure for this expense that year.
Yes.
Correct.
So in future 5-year plans, I suspect what we'll see is we will see that 4474.
We will actually not see that in future plans if this passes the board. It goes into a reserve, because we're not showing reserves here. We're just showing unappropriated.
What I'm
What
saying
you're
is-
saying is true,
And
yes.
then be appropriate.
That there's gonna be a capital reserve account with 4.5 million in it, and as it gets paid down every year, the minimum of 3-something a year is gonna come out of that.
Right. And what will happen budgetarily is that the budget officer, when you say the budget officer, in 2017, I need $265,000 for legacy costs. Those dollars will be appropriated from this account.
From the reserve, correct.
From this account. And
So you
it's-
will see that.
So over time, what you will see naturally is that 4.5 will decline, because you're using it to pay bills.
Which leads me to a question. The 265 that's budgeted for 2016, if we're gonna, in 2017, take 265 or 300 from this reserve, this 265 we currently have, is that levy money? Or is that somehow tied into West Middle? Because that could free up $265,000 of, tax
If we
dollars.
take it off the reserve, then it will not be levy money.
Right. But it is
We
right,
would be covering it under the reserve.
Which reserve?
but it is right now.
Raising taxes to pay
Right.
that.
But we are raising taxes right now to pay it?
For this year, yes.
Good, that's answered my question.
Well, that gives you two.
Yeah, but I think that question goes a little further, and that is that if, why is it that, because at the present time, you're showing that revenue under your revenue line, it's not segregated? In other words, you're showing that revenue on your revenue line, or, because if you're, let me put it this way, if you're not showing that revenue on your revenue line for Westmount, all right, the money we got coming in from the closeout, then we really should assign that to this dedicated reserve.
Assign.
Or we, if we have dollars that we're not presently showing on our revenue side, but that we're collecting for legacy costs, it just doesn't happen to be in the 2016 budget, because it's dollars that we got after, right?
Right.
After closeout, the sale and whatever. We shouldn't, at some point, we
So
should
you-
transfer from those legacy,
I see what you're
from
saying.
those dollars into our, appropriate those into our revenue line so that it's not a general expense to the county. It's part of the sale arrangement. Now, you might have to,
It's probably in the enterprise fund, isn't it?
Well, it will be shown as a
No.
revenue. I mean, and when you set it up in a separate legacy, or are you gonna show it as a revenue into the unencumbered fund balance?
Right, but the existing budget showed the,
This isn't in the existing budget.
okay. And neither are any legacy payments.
No, I think there was the 265.
265.
The 265, and I guess I'm not saying we could resolve that today, but I would ask Joanne, Frank, and Mike for you to look at is, do we need to appropriate from the account to our present operating condition to pay for those costs? Because if we do not, what will happen is those costs will be paid for by general revenue.
Right.
And I don't know that you want those 16 costs. And then that 260 would fall, then that 260 not expended out of the general budget would fall to your fund balance
For 17.
Right.
for 17. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Are you following me here, of what I'm saying?
Yep.
2016, we have budgeted.
We have budgeted.
2017, it will be appropriated from the reserve as a revenue back to,
Right, but if we don't
So,
appropriate.
at the end of the year, I mean, if the board sets this curve up at the next board meeting, or well, it'll be the next one after, because I'm assuming it's Minnesota finance. At that point in time, once this reserve is set up, then the money will come out of that reserve to pay these legacies, and the budgeted $265,000, like you said, will revert back to the general fund at the end of the year, because it won't be expended.
Right, it'd be almost like a due from.
Yep.
In other words, I understand you're gonna have a transition period here,
Yep.
but that the general fund would be compensated
Right.
out of this reserve in 16.
right,
Now, it's a one-time thing, but still, that's
Yep.
then it's 260 falls to your unappropriated balance.
but it's a levy thing too, you know, it's part of the levy, so,
It's already figured.
so we got 265,000 that we can apply towards, the court system or NSTEM or,
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's,
you're right.
right,
that's
Yes.
a good, we'll have to check the budget to make sure on that, though.
yeah.
Would it be easier to just reduce that number by the 260 right up front? Cause you're paying for it out of general fund and reduce this 4,077,509 by 260, then you're already,
Right. What he's saying is, we will do that at the end of the year. In other words, we
For
will.
next year.
alright, well, I just didn't know why you would do it. Just
Well,
one
that
number.
basically by setting up the reserve and saying that the money's gonna come out of that spot, you're doing that.
Okay.
So all legacy costs, including what we expend in 16, would come out of that. So we,
Oh, okay.
you
All right.
follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, we
Well,
will.
we can't do
I
anything
see.
until the board actually establishes
I got
that.
you.
Right.
Right.
You're right, Frank, and that's part of our structured tax rate, so that, is part of our cash flow. So that's something to keep in mind.
Right. Okay. Looking at the multi-year plan, as you can see, the bottom line goes from 22 million for last year, and it ends up at close to our limit there, 9.6. And the main cause of that, it's not the only cause, but the main cause is debt payments, because we haven't budgeted revenue streams for these debt payments for both the NSTEM and the court project. So that's important to do. I think NSTEM can be covered. I don't see a problem covering NSTEM. The court, you know, the other money for the court could be an issue, but I think you might not accomplish it fully this year, but I think with another budget, I think you would get there. But then if you look at the debt payments, they go up $500,000 again next year for the courts. So the courts will be an issue. So it's and we do need to find revenue to pay for that, or that $9 million will come true. But you know, the county has 3-4 years to deal with that issue. I mean, you know, we're not just gonna sit here and do nothing, so. But if there's, yes,
When we were discussing that, remember Fred Monroe asked for the payments, the debt reduction, or the payments would be reduced, and I remember there was quite a drop off, but I can't remember at what point.
24 or 20,
23, 24.
somewhere in there is when it starts dropping off. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's when the public service building, the jail, that comes off then.
Yep.
And that's a big one. And there's several others that'll taper off. We've got one band left that we have to renew from all, like highway projects and stuff, and they'll be gone. So, 2023 or 2024 is when it drops off quick.
I thought it was sooner than that.
Well, it's gonna, it would, without the courts and SUNY, I mean, it's on a decline. Because we paid off a lot of these small bands, we refinanced the jail back in 2012, which reduced those costs. It's then slowly going down, but a big drop will be in 2023.
Yep.
I think it's 20.
Some, right around there, 23 or 24. Drops a lot.
I don't know that we need a committee action on this, because I think the budget officer, you deal with this in terms of your proposal, but just piggybacking on something that Doug brought up at the previous meeting, I really don't see any reason why we don't, think about, going back to, paying that $250 in invasives from the OCTAX program. I think that's.
I'm sorry, I've seen 10% drop in the, in occupancy tax, I get a little nervous about taking any more.
Yeah, but you also have the,
mean,
you
I
also
know-
have the Civic Center coming offline, but also you have to remember that 10% is on fifty some odd $1,000, which is only based on 20% of what we collect in OCTAX for the year, so
Oh, don't get me wrong, Ron.
any dollar amount's gonna be a big
I'm an
50.
advocate of doing it that way, I think that's where the money should come from, is occupancy tax, but just the conservative.
But that's why I say that we should wait till the end of the year to know where we are and the changes, everything is being done, and we can, my recommendation would be that we, at least consider that, in the fall. I just think we used to do that, and then the decision was made to go the other way. I just wanted the invasives taken care of, so I was more concerned about that than I was the source of the funding, but if we have the opportunity, if the dollars are there, we should consider it. I think. That plus the 90-some odd thousand that's already in the structured budget, there's your EdSTEM project, right there, just like that. And that comes off the table, and then any other savings we do can go right toward helping with the court expansion.
Right.
But you're not gonna find those kinds of opportunities in the budget, I think, in an existing budget like that. Because if you do that, and if you do free up, and I'm gonna say we can, we'll have to investigate, but if we can free up that $260,000 in the 16 budget for Westbound legacy costs, that takes you a big way.
Yeah.
That's a huge step toward paying for the court project.
Yep.
You just won't find, other than draconian cuts, you won't find that, or a huge increase in sales tax.
Yeah, because, for, 2017, we need an additional $327,000 for the court. And that'll,
Based on the current estimates of the
right,
cost.
approximately, right.
Have to see what the bids just went out, so we'll see what we're
Right.
actually gonna have to pay for it.
But then in 2018, it jumps to, almost 1.1 million. So, you go from 533 to, it's gonna double.
Well, that's because
The next year.
I've tried to space out the bonding,
Right.
so that we're pushing those payments out further.
Right. But once you get that established, that revenue stream, taxes, sales, whatever, wherever it comes from, then it's there. I mean, then I think it kinda levels off and it doesn't keep jumping up.
Right now, we have what's rate of increase structured in this budget for sales tax? Because we lowered it.
In the
2014 actual. Or, well, 2015 projected.
Well, I mean, just looking ahead, if there should be we should continue on the same track with the sales tax, then that should help with our contractual. What do we need for our contractual? $1 million? 950? 900? All contractual.
Which contractual are you talking
All of
about?
them. All our contractual, all our union contracts, non-union, on any kind of anticipated salary adjustment.
Well, last year we covered that with a decrease in retirement costs and a decrease in health insurance, and it was $976,000 for the cost. They kind of equaled each other out. I don't foresee that happening this year. I don't know if the labor costs will be as high. There was something that pushed them up that far last year. I forget what.
My point is, if you did, just thinking up, strategize, if you do 1 to 2%, if we do 1 to 2% on the sales tax, then we would need that to, just to handle personnel, which is the biggest part of our budget, right?
Yep.
Got the CSEA contract is up at the end of this year, so negotiations are starting.
So,
Contracts are up.
my point is, you can't spend it twice. In other words, our existing organizational structure is probably going to consume the lion's share of any reasonable conservative sales tax projection.
Right.
If it goes south, then, well, then we're into a whole different ballgame. But if it stays on the trajectory it's on, we can't spend that twice.
You gotta be careful of that.
Very true.
I'm confident, the way, with the projections for this year and what we're seeing already in the sales tax collection, I'm confident that we'll come out on the plus side.
Yeah, but that's fine. Just put it in the bank.
We'll need that.
Yep.
We will need that with existing operations. So, I mean, I'm going back to the additional debt service that's coming online. I don't think we can reasonably expect, if it happens, great, that's like Christmas, right? But I don't think we can reasonably expect the sales tax alone to assist with the additional debt service, the court.
No. Unless we raise it 1%, you know. If we raise it to 4%, then that would definitely assist it. Other than that, probably not.
Which,
We're probably not gonna do that. I don't, you know.
and let's say 1.5% on the property tax, which is about what we've been bouncing at here.
Well, the inflation rate this year is set, according to NISAC, is gonna be set at 0.6 to 0.67. So, you know, yes.
The, property tax rate increase in this plan is 1.5.
1.5.
So it may be
Yep.
overstated in this plan.
Right.
Which will reduce our fund balance.
And that's about what we've been doing, is around 620,000, and that's about 1.5 or approximately. So, the retirement, the New York State retirement, according to what I read with NISAC and the report by the comptroller, was at the end of March in 2016 they got a 0.19% return, and their target is 7%. But they have a 5-year weighted average. That's how they do it. So,
Rolling average.
right, that and the increase in the number of Tier 6 employees, they don't think there won't be a decline, but there won't be no dramatic increase like there was a few years ago. So, that's good. But last year, it went down 10%, so, you know, that helped with our employee cost. So that won't exist. I'm not sure what the carryover figures out to be. You know, that could get us back up to our 1.5%, 600,000. I think the county needs to continually raise a little bit of money with the property tax. as uncomfortable as that is, I think it'd be rather foolish not to, 'cause, it's gonna bite you in a couple of years.
But I mean, that's the village of South Glens Falls for no better,
Right.
example of that. I mean, they've had an increase for several years in that, so. It's great to get down as low as you can, but
Right.
not raising a little bit of money every year, not the world.
Well, especially the other day, we heard the unfunded mandate of, they went from 1.5 to 2.5 on the eligibility for,
Right.
that's huge. I mean, you go on a family of three, $30,000, you're going, $20,000, family of three.
Just remember that the state didn't do anything else to help the counties this year. The only thing they passed is the indigent legal defense, and that's gonna take over several years. DA salary, all those other things were stalled by the Assembly. The Senate passed all the bills that would've helped us. The Assembly didn't take up any of the bills that would help the county, so we're still looking at expenses from the state that
Right.
they just simply didn't help us.
The one thing they did do is they, authorized the Office of Court Administration to designate an active off-hour court, and it's been discussed about being over here, where the sheriff's offices used to be. But they designate the number and location of them, the Office of Court Administration, which that could definitely save us some money. I mean, 'cause then the ADAs and the public defenders don't have to go all over the county. They could just come here. But I was more concerned about what Marcy was telling me about the text of the indigent defense bill that, Assemblywoman Fahey, and there was a sponsor in the Senate also that got passed. I mean, it went from a 4-year to a 7-year takeover. But, she indicated that it wasn't gonna cover salaries. And if it's not gonna cover salaries, then I don't know what the point was, I don't know why they did it. 'Cause that's what the expense is. So, but I don't know that to be true, and I don't have the text. I think, it behooves all of us to find out exactly what they did pass.
Well, right now, there's three FTE, full-time equivalents proposed.
Right.
Department, three. 2 attorneys and and support staff. Not saying it's gonna get approved, but what I'm saying is that that's what the measurement of need is right now.
She retracted that.
Yeah, she did.
She did.
Yep.
Well, it's because it doesn't take effect till April. They
Right.
delayed it till April.
Right, but we're not.
Yeah, no, I saw it wasn't in
Kicking the
front
can.
of, but still, the eligibility goes from families that get $30,000 to 50.
Well, it's gonna affect the 2017 budget. I mean, if that service has to be provided for that level of income, if we elect to pay for it, then we're gonna have to pay for it. I don't know. I have my feelings about it. I probably shouldn't state them publicly, but, maybe they could clean up the roadside when they get done with their legal defense or something.
We could cut our sheriff, so we have fewer people coming into the system.
There's an idea.
I'm a little concerned that what were you, what is your joint, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Joanne, what was, we returned, from various departments, across various activities, some look to me to be one-time opportunities, so much money to our fund balance from our 15 operating position. Mike, you can jump in on this. My review of that, I question how much of that we can count on going forward. Now, I was just wondering, in your 5-year projection, what your sense was on the expenditure side. Because some of that, there was a big chunk over to on the sheriff's, there was some other, what looks to me like one-time opportunity.
I did with the multi-year plan is I took the actual 2015 numbers and then I built onto those.
I see.
So if it's a one-time savings, it's gonna show for the next 4 years. Because I don't know if they're one-time or not when I'm doing the plan. So I just built it on the actual.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, I'm gonna do another plan this year, which I'll have a better idea and everything will be built in.
See,
This is just an update from last year.
Yes.
My concern with that would be to not develop a structural issue in the budget where we take the dollars actually expended and we don't jury them to what was appropriated. Now, let's just say for the sake of discussion, in 15, we dropped $3 million into our our fund, unexpended. That's why it grew.
Mhm.
Why it grew. It's the only way. So it drops $3 million in. If in 16, 17, 18, we work off of that number, that may or may not happen. So now we have an expenditure plan.
I think I misspoke.
Okay.
I took the 2016 adopted budget
Okay, all right.
and built onto that.
All right, all right.
Because
all right.
those numbers had changed.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah, no,
got
you
confused
had a
there
little
for
heart
minute.
palpitations for me on that. I was,
As I think about it, it's like,
okay.
yeah, I did work off the 16 adopted.
So the question then would be, well, we have no way of knowing. I mean, we could speculate on that, but
I think, Ron, going forward, we have to assume that that's not going to happen to make sure that we don't have a problem. If we, you know, count on money that basically is a gift, you know, that's a mistake going forward. If it falls out at the end of the year, great, like it did this year. Anticipating that we're gonna be under budget $3.5 million every year for the next 3 years, I think is
Not gonna happen.
that's not gonna happen. I mean, that's,
see, and the signs of that are, like, for example, our contingency, how fast we've drawn down our contingency, and in fact, we have drawn against our fund balance as well.
We did.
Not to a huge degree, but we have drawn
yeah,
against it.
yeah.
And so, those are the indicators of,
That's because we didn't spend it last year. You know, I mean, with the attorney issue, I mean, you know, it's kind of unusual for the attorney to have $150,000 left over. So, you know, to me, them expenses were anticipated, they didn't get spent.
That's probably why they were short this year.
And, okay. So that's kind of where we stand and what we have to accomplish. We will have another budget meeting probably in a month or so. I'll be sending out a letter to the department heads indicating, you know, to prepare their budgets, what we expect. It's pretty much what we've expected in the past. Keep them flat where they are as the best, you know, best you can. And we'll meet again. We do have a 5-year, or would like to develop a 5-year capital plan. Not that we have revenue to pay for it, but it's still, we still have projects we want to do and accomplish. You know, there's emergency services building, communication projects. I think EMS could become a dollar figure, definitely for the county, and a couple other projects. So these are all things that need to be, in my opinion, most of them need to be accomplished, and you know, the sooner you plan for them, the sooner you'll get there. So
I would not like to see any appropriation of our fund balance much above what we presently appropriate, which is what happened, somewhere around $500,000.
yeah, well, I think
that's
a dream.
slippery slope. Other than if you had a one-time item, like you were mentioning,
Right.
you know, you're gonna spend it once and it's not part of your structured budget, that's a little different. But boy, I would not like to see that fund balance appropriation, slide any further up than, because what happens is, if your operating condition starts to rely on your fund balance and the revenues dip for any reason whatsoever, now you're caught. You're caught in that year and you're caught in all succeeding years. So I would be, opposed to, appropriating, any, fund balance much above where we are right now. And there's gonna be a lot of pressure to do that, as you know.
Oh, there will be, yeah.
There'll be a lot of pressure to wanna do that, but I think that is a,
Well, we have debt to pay for, so, you know, maybe the one shots will get us through our debt bill for 2017 and
right,
we'll start again.
other than a one-time.
Right.
Other than a one-time, I think that's, not how we should do business.
Right. I did want to mention that I think most everybody's aware of this, New York State did come up with Pave New York. I think it's a 4-year plan, $100 billion a year. That amounts to, well, according to figures I got, $828,000 to the Warren County, $349 to DPW, and the rest to the towns in the county. So, to me, that's another $376,000 that can be applied to our paving fund, which will get us up to 2.7 million approximately, which I think is a good thing. And I would like to reiterate again that they have done, the DPW has done some paving in Stony Creek, and I'm very, very impressed with the job they've done. It's kind of remarkable, actually, compared to where they were last year and the year before. Done a great job. Yes.
Are they gonna be able to use that money and get the roads paved, or are we gonna, cause they've sometimes ended up short.
This year? For this year?
I mean, generally speaking, when we
It has
get.
to be used for paving.
Yeah.
No, I know that, but they've always seemed to.
Oh, to
Or-
use all of it, you mean?
Yeah,
Well, that's,
I mean, there's no.
shouldn't be a problem, but
Well, I mean,
right,
I think Jeff's working on identifying projects now.
right.
we've thought about contracting, right? So,
Yeah, we did, and actually I was advocating that, but
I mean, those.
I think we should maybe wait on that a little bit, personally, because I think I believe I believe our crew can do it cheaper, you know, and I think the quality is starting to come to life. Yes. Gene.
Just a comment. The new superintendent for DBW, and I had to be it's a piece of equipment. We've been told that for years, and now we're finding out that they rent a better piece and the job, and it's the same crew basically.
Well,
A lot of problems with the equipment, so.
not completely the same crew.
There's some new people on the crew, but I've gotten more reports also that
Yep.
we're on target, and I think if that's what we can do.
Right, right,
That's better, yeah.
It's a good objective, as long as we can keep maintaining that.
right. As long as we're not tearing up new road to redo it again, that's not good.
If I just,
Yes, Mike.
While we're talking about the courts, I just remembered, since court administration has approved the plans for the court addition, we have now made application to them for the 25% rebate, or whatever they wanna call it, on the interest.
Right.
So hopefully that, we're on top of that, we're going through that, hopefully that'll be, because that was the holdup. We kept bothering them, and they said, no, we can't do anything until the plans are approved. So now they're approved, so we've made application, so we should be all set on that.
Right.
What are your thoughts on, Frank, you or anyone, what are your thoughts on the mortgage, what we're showing for mortgage receipts going forward? I know in, my town, down. Now it seems up, but last year it seemed down. The county was up overall last year, or was it down? I saw it was down. I think you were up countywide.
I mean, when the history of the mortgage thing is that for the last 4 years, everybody and their brother was refinancing, okay, because the interest rates were so low. Well, finally tapered out, everybody that could refinance, all right? So now it's basically back to home sales. And you get to the home sales and the market is moving around. And, you know, some of the real high-end stuff seems to be moving all of a sudden on Lake George, some of the $2 to $3 million places, and you get $250,000 down, those seem to be moving. But in between, it's hit and miss. So I really don't, I guess you'd have to look at the national trend on what's going on with home sales.
I just wanna make sure we're not overshooting the runway on the revenue side, 'cause that
No.
can really be an unpleasant surprise on
I believe for
mortgage.
this year,
No,
it's cut back.
Yeah, the county clerk is very conservative on her revenue projections. And that's a good thing, as far as I'm concerned. So, I think we'll be fine. Anything else from anyone? No, motion to adjourn. Moved by Matt, seconded by Ron, all in favor?
I got stuff to sign, I'm sure.
Good work, Frank.